Do you train combat sports? Have you ever been injured? Dr. Megan Jimenez is an Army orthopedic sports surgeon and Jiu Jitsu brown belt. This is Dr. Jiu Jitsu, your go-to podcast for combat sports, military performance, injury prevention, and treatment. New episodes drop the first Friday of each month.
Hey guys, I'm Megan Jimenez. I am an orthopedic surgeon and military U.S. Army major. I'm joined today by my good friend and mentor, Jonovan Webb, third degree black belt. He is a UFC and CFFC veteran. He owns the gym that we're at right now, Webb Fitness, and just a good friend of mine. He was where I started my journey from white belt to purple belt until I started moving with schooling.
All over the world.
Yeah, but never stopped it and always came back. And thanks for taking the time out today.
I know, I'm happy to be on it. I'm excited.
So we're going to talk a lot about injuries, about owning a school, about coaching, about your fight career, about how you got to where you are, a little bit about how we know each other and kind of what we went through for a long time together. And I appreciate you because you're the reason that I started Jiu Jitsu and stuck with it.
No, I'm just happy that you kept doing it. You know, so many people come in throughout the years and, you know, some people have it, some people don't. But some people who have it just don't stick with it. And it's one of the saddest things to see as a coach. And I'm just very happy that you kept your journey going because I knew you had it early on. But, you know, again, some people just don't see it out and commit to what they started. And you've done it. And now you're here as a black belt sitting next to me.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, you were one of the first people I texted after.
Yeah.
And I mean, I competed, 2 years ago? Yeah. And I competed here. And I said, hey, I'm competing in New Jersey. Can you coach me? And you were like, sure.
Yeah.
They're at the drop of a hat.
In there, was that open division? No weight
absolute.
classes?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think my first opponent, was she like 182?
To be nice. Yeah.
She was big. She was big. And my mom was like, what?
Yeah.
I said, well, it's open. And I took it on like 3 days notice.
You gotta be a backpack on people like that.
That was fun. Well, she was so nice to roll with. Like, she could have crushed me and really hammered me, but she didn't. She was super nice to train with, to compete with, and technique, versus just using her weight.
Yeah, it's always good. You don't want a spazzy big person.
No.
Yeah.
But I did tear my ACL that competition, and I remember texting you like, I think I tore my ACL. You're like, no way.
Yeah, because it didn't even look bad when it happened.
No, but the video did.
Yeah.
You saw it in the video, but made me a better surgeon and a better athlete.
One unfortunate thing about the sport, and I tell everyone who walks through the doors, like, you go play a pickup game of basketball right now, there's a good shot that you're going to get hurt. You're going to leave with a bloody nose, a twisted ankle, something like that. And we're doing a sport where we're literally trying to go for submissions and different arm locks and leg locks and all that stuff. And, it's just an unfortunate part of a contact sport. But I feel like for what we do, we don't get injured that much.
It's going to happen. And I tell people it will happen. It's just, how do we mitigate?
Exactly.
So we can start here. What do you do at your facility, as a coach, to mitigate injuries with your students?
So one, I am not nice to spazzy people anymore. And before it was always like, just try to be, maybe that's just the way they are and just let it go. And now I just don't accept it. If you can't be a good training partner, then, this isn't the place for you. There's plenty of other gyms you can go find and maybe they'll let you in there. But, our number one thing is just keeping everyone safe. Almost everyone in here has to go to work the next day, has to go to school, has to figure out ways to pay their bills. Like, risking an injury off of something like that is just not worth it. Again, now, accidents happen, anything can happen. You can walk out the door and twist your ankle. But if we can try to stop it any way that we can in here, we do. And I'm very vocal with, while rounds are going, like, hey, slow down, hey, do this, and I feel like it's helped a lot.
I'm the same way, and people get upset with me because I'm like, don't jump on that person's knee that way. Like, you are in training, and that's a dad. Yeah. He's going to work tomorrow, and people kind of are like, you think you could walk outside and your knee would explode? I was like, well, you could, but that's not the point. We're not walking outside.
No.
And our knees can explode, and they do.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty crazy about that too. The part that I struggle with is when you're trying to train for competition, how do you keep it safe-ish while still trying to get to that 100% training?
Yeah, so even today, like, we have a lot of people competing this weekend on the big grappling card. And, I was telling them today, I want you guys thinking about pace, right? Like, have high pace, push each other, but the intensity shouldn't be there. So it sounds like it's, you know, they're opposite things, but, you know, I can go at a high speed and a good flow without having to try to smash you, or if I grab something and crank it, you know, there's just a difference that you have to learn, and you're going to learn that with experience. And that's why I always like when new people come in, I put them with experienced people, because the experienced people can kind of show them how it's supposed to be, instead of two like Tasmanian devils with each other. And then with the two competitors going with each other, you know, it's, can you check your ego at the door or not, right? You're not going to win every single round, every single second, every single minute of training. You know, I'd rather you not win every second of training. I'd rather you put yourself in weird positions, figure out ways out. If you can't figure your way out, tap, reset, and then try it again. You know, not to go off topic, but even for me, like when I came up in jiu-jitsu, it was totally different. There was no leg locks allowed at my gym, like all these different things. And I started competing a lot, and then all of a sudden people were hitting me with leg locks. And it was like, I don't know how to stop this. So then in the gym, I would just put myself in the situations and be like, hey, just squeeze my leg and see if you can finish. And I would try it from a bunch of spots, and then I would try to get my way out. And then if it hurt, I would just tap, and then we'll reset, and then I'll try it again. So that's why I try to, like, you know, keep on people is like, again, the competition is under the lights when the cameras are there, or you're at a tournament, whatever. That's competition mode, and that's when we gotta, like, you know, I'm a on your shield or with your shield kind of guy, you know. But in the room, you shouldn't have that same mentality. It's all a learning process, and again, your ego is going to be your biggest killer in here. So if you can just check that ego and not be afraid to tap, even in a bad position. Like sometimes certain positions, and maybe not a submission, but my ankle's in a weird spot or my arm's in a weird spot. It's like, hey, let's just reset, and I'll just adjust it and go. But again, it's still a battle that we're fighting with everyone. I still fight it. Yeah,
it's
but
hard.
That's what I've been trying to do.
So how do you think that the athletes can just switch it on when they compete on a Saturday if they haven't, like, you don't really finish heel hooks on your partners, right?
Yeah.
But in competition, you kind of have to put that on. So how do you make that switch?
Well, I mean, there's different things. I mean, you're out there, it's kill or be killed, and I think you understand it as soon as if you ever competed before, you know that it's different, and the intensity is different. Even the way someone just collar ties you is different than being in here. So if that doesn't wake you up, that's like your own issue that you gotta figure out. But even like, so heel hooks is probably the scariest thing in the entire sport, right? Injury wise.
Because you don't feel it, right? Having gone through it, you're in your adrenaline's running, and you don't feel it until it's too late.
And so what I like to do with any leg entanglement really is, your first thing should be like collecting the leg, and then the second thing should be controlling the leg. So like everything from the hip all the way to the ankle. If I can control that and get you stuck, now it's my job to use finishing mechanics to get it. So a lot of times, again, maybe some people aren't as educated on the positioning of the leg locks and stuff, but like a lot of times we think about a heel hook, so we go for the heel and then we just try to rip it as quick as we can. But if I can figure out a way to isolate your hip, your knee, and your ankle, get you stuck where you can't go right, you can't go left, you can't pull out, and now I grab your heel, it should be a slow movement to finish. I shouldn't have to do these big twists and turns and big athletic movements if I'm doing the technique right. And that's usually the problem, is that people are getting hurt because people aren't doing the techniques right.
I agree. And I'm of the mentality that even white belts should be starting to learn these things. Obviously, if they're uncontrolled, then we need to have a sit down, right? But if you're not learning it early on, to your point, what were you, like a purple belt?
The funniest thing, so the first one, I was a purple belt. I had a few stripes on my purple belt. I won a purple belt division in the tournament I was in, and then they were like, hey, there's no black belts in this black belt division. Do you want to go against this black belt? And the guy was like a second degree black belt already. I was like, yeah, I'll go in there. And I go, and I remember I looked at the score, and I'm like beating the guy, like, using wrestling, and I was just scoring, passing his guard, taking his back, all these things. And then there's a few seconds left, and he sat on a heel hook on me and just ripped it. And I remember I was younger. When I was purple belt, I was 19 years old. Huh. And I heard like a pop, and I pulled my leg out and didn't think anything of it, but then he sat and went for the other leg.
Oh my gosh.
And as soon as he grabbed it, I was just like, that's it. Like, I don't want to do that again. And then that's like when it started. And then I got knee barred by Keenan Cornelius in the grappling industries. And then that's when I really just went full blown into trying to figure out defensively how to stop it. But as I was learning the defenses for it is when I like started saying like, oh wait, in this position I can try this, or I can do this to try to get it offensively. And that's really how I learned leg locks. I didn't learn it from like someone coaching me on it. I just learned it from trying to stop the leg lock.
And sadly, I think sometimes you need to get injured to learn. Not that you need to, it's just that it was more beneficial in my case.
Yeah.
When I tore my ACL, I thought I had a decent understanding of leg locks. I had not even touched the surface.
Yeah.
And so ever since 2 years ago, literally I went full send on defense, different positions, mechanics of finishing inside versus outside.
Yeah.
And I teach Tuesday, Friday at my gym, and we do leg locks now because otherwise my students aren't going to know. I mean, a lot of competitions don't allow heel hooks, right? So especially the local ones where I am in Washington. Here they might be a little bit more aggressive with it.
So like Nagas and stuff, like you can do heel hooks and everything at white belt, which in no gi.
Oh my God.
So it's a little scary, but I start my students with leg locks right away now. And again, it's just crazy to say it because I just remember it being such like a no-go. Years ago we had a Samba guy come into the gym, and he was like grabbing legs, and I just remember everyone in the gym yelling at him and like telling him that wasn't okay. And then now that's the game. But the scarier part with leg locks now is that it's not just grab and go. It's people are just like the leg lock game's its own martial art now, right? Like it's like changed the game so much. Just all the different entries and controls. Like it's just, I'm fascinated by it. Like I like seeing it and I like using it. But then there's guys who are just a whole nother level. Like even, you know, one of my black belts, Kevin Dantzler, like,
oh, he's savage.
The kid is like, he'll do stuff and like call names of certain moves, and I'm just looking at him like, what is that? You know, but
it's a whole different game.
It is.
And ever since I started going more down the no-gi rabbit hole, the gi stuff is so different now, right? Remember, I think when we were younger and when I first started with you, you could just do both. Yeah. And it felt like you could. I mean, we would go to competitions. It felt like you're pretty even at both. And I was like, okay, if I could do gi, I could do no-gi. It's just without grips. Yeah. And now it's new. Because if you start doing stuff from no-gi, it does not translate. You get smashed right there.
And it's just, people are becoming experts in it. And it's just different. And people are learning no-gi at a faster rate than gi now. So like gi, you gotta think like traditionally, you go to a gi school and it's slower and you're starting from the knees, and then there's a lot of rules, and you know, maybe you only do pass, sweep, submit for like the, you know, first couple of years or whatever. And these no-gi guys are just getting thrown into like, oh, you're a white belt, but we're just gonna throw you in this open division and you're gonna go against these really good guys. Yeah, so I mean, I know blue and purple belts. We have a blue belt at the gym now that I would put my money on to beat Moses Brown and black belts that are under 135 pounds right now. And the kid he was an elite wrestler, and he doesn't even try to wrestle. Like he'll play on his back, he'll do all these things, and it's like, I'm the coach and I don't even understand how he learns so fast. Like it's just, I don't know what it is now. Maybe information's more accessible now. Like, you know, they can go on YouTube, they can go on BJJ Fanatics, they can, you know, watch every instructional, whatever, or just you go on Flow Grappling or on UFC Fight Pass, and there's hundreds and thousands of matches that you can just watch the techniques and you can just pick up on it. And I mean, again, this sport is going to be even scarier in 5-10 years from now. But right now, it's like, I love seeing what these kids are doing. And, you know, I'm just excited to be a part of it.
So you came from a wrestling background,
Yep.
and you're talking about this student who, or athlete who
Yep.
came from a wrestling background as well. Do you think that that is super helpful for the entire longevity? Do you think it's more helpful when you start?
Yeah, I mean, so years ago, again, I think wrestlers were like so against doing grappling, and now it's not like that. It's like, so their eyes are open to it. Like, hey, after wrestling, I should get into this, or I should start getting into it early so that when I'm done my wrestling career, like I'm already, you know, like ready to learn some technique. Like we just had this year's national champion at 125. He was in here this morning. He's in from out of town, and he was rolling jiu-jitsu. And, you know, it's really cool to see that level of guy coming in. But it's like, you know, wrestling, I think, is a really strong base. I don't think you need it. Like, there's guys who are really good, like Kevin, who can get through, you know, a lot of people in this sport without any wrestling, and it works for him. But yeah, I mean, it's really cool to see people transitioning into it and then using their wrestling, but learning jiu-jitsu too.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, like even when I started, like, you know, white belt, I've wrestled everyone. I didn't do jiu-jitsu. I won jiu-jitsu matches, but not by using like jiu-jitsu techniques. But there's some kids that can just come in and be humble enough to like start like they never grappled ever in their life.
That's hard. It's hard
very
to do.
hard. Yeah,
Because your body takes over.
like I said, this kid Nick that we have, I mean, I literally see him on his back most of the practice, and he's just pulling. And the kid's a really good New Jersey wrestler. And you know, New Jersey, this whole area, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Ohio, like it's just some of the most elite wrestling there is. And you know, I just think, again, the next 5-10 years, the sport's going to change even more when all the wrestlers are coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go back to when you and I first met. That
Yep.
was like 2014, or probably like about 11 years.
Yeah.
That's when I first started. You had been doing it for longer. Obviously, you were a
Yeah.
black belt by that
Yeah.
time. And talk to me about how you decided you were going to go from more being the athlete to a coach and then to a gym owner, and how you did all of that.
So the funny thing is, like, I started coaching very early. So my coach, Brian McPherson, he was a major in the state police when I started doing jiu-jitsu. And he was like on this like government detail, and he had this work phone that he would sit on the mat, and he'll be teaching a class, and all of a sudden that phone goes off, and he would have to run out. And you know, he would just be like, and to go back, like, I started at his gym the first week it was open. So my cousin is the one who got me into jiu-jitsu. He asked me if I wanted to go to a grappling class, and I didn't know what grappling was. I thought wrestling was grappling. It's another funny thing, but my screen name on AOL, on AIM, was NJ Grappler 89.
While you were a wrestler?
While I was a wrestler. Never did jiu-jitsu ever in my life. So like, I just thought wrestling was grappling. So I packed my bag, I have a headgear in there, I have my wrestling shoes on, and I show up to this gym, and there's like a bunch of old guys in there wearing gis. And I was like, what the hell what are we doing here? And he's like, no, you go wrestle them. And these guys would just submit me and beat me. And I just remember thinking, like, whatever these guys just did to me, I want to be able to do to someone else. And I just went full blown into jiu-jitsu after that day. And I was there every single day. And I was one of the only guys that had wrestling, so I had like somewhat of grappling compared to the other new guys. My coach, his friends would come from his school that he trained at Ricardo Almeida's, and so like those upper belts would come in and help me, but when they weren't there, I was like the next highest person. So when I got my blue belt in 6 months, and probably right at that time is when he would just be like, hey, John, finish class for me.
He'd have to go.
You know, again, I'm 16 or 17 years old, and I'm teaching like 40-year-old men how to do a move. And I was a very shy kid. I played sports my entire life, but like, I was never like someone who would just talk. Like I was quiet. Unless you talk to me, then I would, you know, talk to you. But other than that, I was just a really quiet kid. So now I got to stand up in front of a class and tell these guys what to do. And, you know, it was scary doing it, but I just started falling in love with it. And even when I was fighting, when I, you know, was fighting for Cage Fury, when I fought in the UFC, like I always knew I wanted to own a gym, but I just never knew when it was going to happen. I thought it would be later on. I thought I was going to keep fighting. And then when we had our daughter, me and my wife had our daughter, Audrina, I was going back and forth from New Mexico to here in New Jersey. And I was like, you know, I need to settle down home instead of like doing all this traveling. And not that I fell out of love with competing in the sport, but it was like, am I going to choose my like family, or am I going to choose being the athlete? Because some people can balance it. I'm not. I was like a psycho when I was fighting.
All in.
Like, I'm an all in or nothing kind of guy. So it's when I was in, nothing else in the world mattered. It was, you know, how am I going to train? How am I going to eat? How am I going to rest? How am I going to recover? Like, I would go, you know, get massages multiple times a week. I would go to physical therapy. I would do all these things because that's all I cared about. I would not go to weddings. I would not go to birthday parties. I wouldn't do anything for anyone because I was just so locked in. And, you know, one day I just woke up and I was like, you know, I think I should have a gym and be more settled. And then I get a phone call that my employer from the UFC gym wanted to sell the gym.
Because we were UFC originally.
We were a UFC gym. And he calls me and was like, do you have any interest in buying the gym? And I was like, man, like, I don't have money. Like, you know, I was fighting and I was doing okay, but, you know, I wasn't making money like that. I didn't have savings. Like, I didn't have all these things. And one of my sponsors was like, I'll pay for the whole thing. And then he's like, you know, we'll go in and we'll make it work. And, you know, that it like changed my life after that. So, you know, you know, it was a lot of hard work. I had to do a lot to put it all together and then to keep it rolling and grow it and stuff. But I got really lucky with just the position I was in. Like, you know, the guy wanted to get out because his daughter was a singer. She was in middle school and she wanted to sing and had to travel all over the country. And he wanted to be her manager. And that was the only reason he got out of it. And that's what got this, you know. And it's still wild to look back and think that's how it all started. But, you know, it led me here. And now, you know, I coach, you know, women, children, men, you know, people who will never compete a day in their life to people who compete at the highest level. And I get so much fulfillment out of it. And, you know, I thought I would never be able to fill the void of like standing at the tunnel, hearing the crowd and you know, being the gladiator in there, right, in the arena. And now I get it like tenfold. Like I'm at fights every weekend, and when they win, it's like it's the best feeling. Like it feels like I won, you know. And you know, when they lose, it hurts, and it hurts just like when I lost, you know. And you know, I just love experiencing it and seeing these like guys and girls just put everything out there. Like so many people have probably been in their lives that told them, you know, your goals are just, it'll never happen. You know, you know, why don't you just get a steady job or do the more traditional thing and all that kind of stuff. And all of them were in the position I was in before, where I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to chance it and just try what I want to try and see if it works for me. And again, I'm proud of everybody that even has the guts to go out and put it all on the line. But I'm just fortunate to be a part of a team that, we do very well. And, I think it just comes from everyone coming in and trying to work towards similar goals, and we try to push each other. And again, anytime you get a bunch of people, especially a bunch of alphas, I always say, there's always going to be some tension or problems, or some people don't get along or whatever. But I feel like we do a good job on the team, just like setting everything aside, and just when we show up here, we train the way that we need to train, and then we go on about our day.
You have some amazing coaches too around you, because that's probably huge, because you can't do it all yourself.
No, I definitely can't. When I first started the gym, it was like I wanted my hands on everything, and it's just something that's impossible to do. So now we got a great coaching staff, and when I can't make it to certain things, they go, right? When I can't make it to certain classes, they're here. And again, with the sport, it's a good thing that I get to travel all the time, but it hurts sometimes. Like, I don't get to be here for certain practices or get to see certain things, and it's hard for me sometimes to understand that still, because I wish I could be in more places at once. But I got such a good team under me. I know that when I am unable to be somewhere, they're gonna have a really good person in my spot.
Nice. Yeah. So changing gears a little bit, this is a Dr. Jiu Jitsu podcast, so we talk about injuries, and you've had a couple.
Yeah.
Let's, if you don't mind, talk about a little bit of your injuries and how you got back and what you did.
Yeah. So my biggest injuries have always been my shoulders. I remember hurting it the first time in wrestling when I was in high school. And it was, when I first heard it was just like dislocations, right? It would happen all the time.
So you're having a lot over and over.
Yeah, they would just happen. And then I got to a point where I was just popping them in by myself. And I thought it was normal. I was just a kid, and I saw, this joint comes out, and I just put it back in, then it's gonna be fine once it's back in there. And so I would do it. When I started fighting, I remember it happening a couple times at practice, and I would pop it back in. It would hurt for a little bit, and then it would kind of go back to normal. And the one day I show up to practice, we warm up, first round, first punch, I throw a jab, and I didn't even hit the person yet, and my shoulder pops out. And when I went to put it back in, it was like a numb pain, it just felt different than it ever did before. Like
down into your fingers?
Yeah, and I just remember one of the coaches was on the side, and he's staring at me, and I'm staring at him, and he's like, "You okay?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "You don't look okay." And he said I just went pale.
Ghost.
And whatever. And so that happened on a Thursday at sparring, a 9 a.m. sparring. I always remember what times.
Which session?
Yeah, it was a 9 a.m. sparring session, and I met with one of the doctors at Rothman. That same day they got me in, and I had surgery on Monday.
Oh wow!
I don't know how that all worked out.
What day was the injury?
Thursday. Yeah.
Good insurance.
I was almost my parents' insurance back.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I remember his name was Dr. Salvo. He used to work on a bunch of Phillies and Sixers players and stuff. And he was like, if you want to keep your career and keep doing what you're doing, he's like, you have to listen to me on the recovery. And I was like, yeah, all right. And he's like, no, I'm telling you, if I'm doing your surgery, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time.
Smart man.
You're going to do it right. And I did. I went 7 months, no training.
What surgery did you have?
I had a labrum repair.
Okay.
So
with
it was
the camera?
completely, like
Arthroscopic?
Yeah.
Yep.
And so he repaired it. I took off. I didn't train for 7 months. And I've never done that my entire life. I've wrestled since I was a kid. And I played, when I was a kid, I played football and baseball. I would play all the sports all year round. I would just play sports. So this was like the first time I ever took off. And mentally, it was like one of the hardest things I ever did. And that's like a big thing that I have with my students now is like, physically, I know you're going to be okay. The doctors are good now. The procedures are good. Like, I know you're going to be okay in the long run, physically. I'm always more worried about the mental part because I've been there.
100%.
And like that depression is like insane. Just seeing all your friends and all your teammates being able to like do stuff and you're just sitting there like, it's just hard. Like, you're not jealous, but it's like,
you're sad.
yeah, you're just sad.
I've gone through it now
part of it
a couple times, and now that I've gone through it with my patients, I appreciate the mental side so much more.
Yeah.
Before I went through it, I was like, get over it. I didn't realize how strong it was because I had never gone through that. I had gone through periods where I was on a trauma rotation when I was here.
Yeah.
I remember when I signed up here, I was like, hey, I'm probably going to be gone for a couple months.
Yeah.
I can't really afford to pay the freeze fee. And you were like, come when you can.
Yeah.
It's like, thank God, right? Because I would be 3 months on trauma, not leaving the hospital. And that would be sad, but I had so much going on in my life. It wasn't
it was a lot.
It wasn't so much mental. I was just trying to survive in trauma and taking care of patients. And then I would come back and be like, great, let's go. But when you're injured and you're sitting here watching people.
Yeah.
But what do you think? Do you think it's better to come in when you're injured, or do you think it's better to stay away?
Yeah, so it kind of matters how your life is, I feel like. If you're busy like you're saying, then good. Be busy if you can get through it. But like for me, it was, I didn't have anything else.
Yeah.
The gym was my life. So like if I don't train, that means I'm just sitting at home doing nothing. And I was never a video gamer ever. No offense to anyone else, because some people
not either.
But I've never been a video game person, and that's all I did when I was hurt. And it like, for the first couple months, because I didn't want to be in the gym around everyone. And then my coach kind of talked me into just like, hey, just come and watch. Like, come, see the techniques and like all that stuff. And I did, and it just made it so much better. And it was just a really hard thing to get through. But once I got through it, I got clearance on a day, and 2 months later I fought.
Oh, wow.
So, our fight camps are 8 weeks.
Yeah.
But that's usually you're in shape already. Then you do an 8-week camp for the fight and then go. But I was like, nope, I'm fighting in 8 weeks. And I got myself together, and it was hard. It was a hard weight cut because it was this is my first time ever being really injured. So my weight skyrocketed for the first time, and so I had to get the weight down, then I had to get the cardio back, because when I did the labrum tear, they didn't even want me running because of the
jostling.
Yeah,
it hurts if you go too quickly.
So because that's in my mind when they first did it, I was like, all right, like I can't use my arm like this and grabbing, but I was like, I'll be able to do everything else. And they're like, nope.
No, it usually takes like 6 to 8 weeks for people to run, depending on the severity. And you had a big labrum tear.
Yeah.
I recently had a biceps procedure done, and I was running at like 3 to 4 weeks.
Oh, that's not. Yeah.
But like not crazy, like 12-minute pace, walk, run. It's hard.
They had me
Stairmaster, bike.
On the little hand.
That thing's hard.
Bike thing.
That thing's hard.
That's all. It would be that, like stretches. And again, this is 2011. And they had me on, like, doing the little, like on the door. It was like a little wheelie thing. Yeah, pulley. And I would do that. And
you're like, what
that
next?
was it. Yeah.
What next?
And I just wanted more, and they were like, nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
And now we're lucky too. There's a lot more equipment, and there's a lot more social media. I know it tends to be the devil sometimes, and I think there's a lot of benefit. Like, we can have talks like this.
Oh, yeah.
You can go online, you can go on ChatGPT and say, hey, I had this shoulder surgery, what's safe for me to do?
Yeah.
And they'll give you a plan. They'll give you like a day-to-day, hour-to-hour plan, right? So, I mean, and now that I've gone through shoulder, knee surgeries, I think shoulder's a lot easier to recover from.
Yeah.
Granted, rotator cuff tears are a different beast. Those are typically in older patients, and they're very hard to recover from. But I think younger patients with shoulder injuries are easier than knees, because you can still walk. You can still get on the Stairmaster. You can still get on, like, I was biking like a lunatic 5 days out on a stationary.
Yeah.
But I was putting that resistance up because you're just here, right, in a sling. Knees are really tough, especially right side. You can't drive for like 6 weeks, potentially.
You have to go left foot.
Oh, well, I just tell my patients you can't drive because, I mean, people will do what they're going to do. It's just, you can get, only can you get a ticket, you can hurt somebody because your reaction time's not there. So I usually wait to clear my patients if they have a brace on, if it's a bigger surgery. Little meniscus cleanup, 20-minute procedure, probably in 2 to 3 weeks. But when you're having these bigger knee surgeries after my ACL, that was hard. It was my right knee, so I was paying my physical therapist's kids to drive me to jiu-jitsu.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And I said, you drive me to the gym, I'll pay for your gym single day fee, like to go lift. And I just crutch around lifting. And then I said, take me to jiu-jitsu after. And I'd pay the money to go drive me around like my taxi with my leg elevated in the back of the truck. And because of the love of it. And if I wasn't there, I felt like I was missing out on my community, missing out on learning, and I just wasn't fulfilled if I was just sitting at home at night. So I was still getting there.
I get it. It's a tough road, but we just had one of our guys, he's out right now. He didn't have the surgery yet, but I think he's getting it this week for a rotator cuff.
Oof.
And he's young. He's only 21.
It's tough.
Yeah, 21.
How do you do that?
He doesn't even
He doesn't know.
Yeah, he was just wrestling and then it hurt. He had labrum issues before. He was like a high school football player and what's the when you throw the ball?
Shot
track. Shot put. And so he had some injuries there like years ago. And but now he's gonna be out for a little bit. And again, just like we talked about, I the day I found out that he was gonna be out, he's a young kid, and his dad was actually an NFL player, and is a principal at a high school not too far from here. But I was talking to him like, hey, like again, I know he's gonna be good physically, but just make sure you check on him mentally. And I was like, call me if anything. Yeah. Because again, I was around his age when I did mine, and that again, I think that's the scariest part of the whole thing.
Community is tremendous too, right? People are checking up on you. People are like, hey, what can I do? Do you want to go out? Do you want to still hang out? Do you want to work out? Because it's the community. Yeah. And I think that helped me keep my head on straight. And you have to have goals. It's like, what is my goal this week? It's to walk. And it's different goals, but it's still goals. Yeah. And that's the way you have to wrap your mind around that. And people that don't really struggle, because they're like, I was like deadlifting 300 pounds last week. I'm like, guess what? Not this week. We have to have different goals. Yeah. And it will come back. It's just if you don't follow the rules, we're gonna have problems. Yeah. Yeah. Was this the same shoulder that we treated when I was a resident?
So I got that surgery in 2000. It was either 11 or 12. And then my shoulder was fine. Like after I did the rehab, my shoulder felt strong, never gave me issues. The only thing that would hurt is if I tried to do like a flat bench or something like that. I don't know if it was more of a mental thing than anything, but like I was just scared of using it. And but fighting wise, I was fine. And then right at the end of my fighting career, I toured again, but it wasn't a complete tear this time.
I think, didn't you have a slap tear?
It was a slap tear.
So the biceps comes into the labrum, which is like one of the most common things. Yeah. That's what I had when I was younger, when I first started.
Yeah, so I had a fight lined up and they were trying to get me to pull out of the fight, and I was like, no.
Who tried to get you to pull out?
My coaches and everything. And I was like, nah, like it's just the way I was. If I signed up for something, it was just, if you got to push me in a wheelchair out to the cage, I was going to go out and give it my all. And it's not a good thing, but it was just the way my brain was wired back then. And, that's when you were in residence
I was in residency, yeah. Because I started here like my intern year.
Yeah, and then it was right around the corner.
Yep.
It was a street away.
Yep.
And I called you. I was like, is there anything that we can do? And, you know, I forget exactly what we did, but.
Well, you got the MRI.
Yeah.
And I looked at that to make sure that wasn't another like complete labrum tear and we had risks of dislocation. Because you didn't dislocate.
Yeah.
It was more just like a chronic thing at this point.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, it's safe till we can consider an injection therapy and get you to your fight. But that's not the same for everyone. No. If you were dislocating, I would have been
and I do remember you telling me that cortisone's not for everyone, and
you don't want to repeat it all the time.
Maybe I should think about it, and then I was like, I want to do it.
Yeah.
so you know, again, because it was either I was gonna go out there with it hurting and injured, or I was gonna go out there where it's not hurting and injured. so it was, I guess it was like,
or where it's not hurting and you did well.
Yeah. So, you know, it was just one of those decisions I made, but you know, honestly, since then, my shoulder hasn't given me any issues.
Steroid injections have their role, and I think for people in sports, this is the perfect application of it. It was a couple weeks out. We could let it settle down. You could take a day or two off to let the cortisone do its thing and not flare on you.
Yeah.
And I think that was perfect for that situation. But people are trying to get steroid injections when they have like an ACL tear or something is unstable. That's different. That's a mechanical problem, right? We were treating a symptomatic small tear that most of the time you don't get surgery for.
Yeah.
And we needed to get you okay, and you did some therapy too, because it's not just steroid injection and move along.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's what helped, is that I started doing all the band work and all that kind of stuff.
And you had PT here, right?
And I had PT here.
Yeah.
I used to sublet to a physical therapy company, so I would do the PT and all that. And I mean, it's, again, I'm a little.
Oh yeah, is that for that? You just got the wood out there for knocking?
Wood just in case. Because I feel like anytime you talk about injuries, like, oh, I've never injured my knee before. And then it's like, bam, there goes your knee. Like that, it always happens that way, so.
That's tough too, right? You injure something and then afterwards you're like, well, I hope that never happens again. And guess what? With what we do, it freaking could.
It easily could.
Tomorrow, right? And after my ACL, people were like, oh my God, I hope that never happens. And yeah, of course I hope that. And if I just say it's not gonna happen, it could, right? And so I think that I have a healthy, sometimes a little too extra with injuries, but you know, I've had enough where I'm like, I need to be careful if I want to be in the sport forever.
I think it comes with experience and with age too, because I feel like when you're young, you just feel like Superman or Superwoman, and it's, you know, you feel like nothing can keep you down like that. And as you get older, it's like,
sure,
you know, it is going to take a little time to recover, or I got to watch what I'm doing.
Yeah. Also, being the smallest person in the room has really been a struggle. When I was younger, I was like, oh, I could take anyone on, and I would. I would. But then, at what cost? I'd be sore for a couple of days. I was also in my 20s, right? So I'll get over it, put some ice on it. Now I'm kind of paying. I was paying for those injuries, so I'm way more selective. I say no a lot more than I say yes to roll with people, because being 125. Yeah. The kids are this small. Yeah. The only ones I can roll with safely are the kids.
Yeah. So that's something that I changed in my gym as well, is like, before it was like, everyone should be able to train with everyone. We're all the same team, whatever. And it's just not the case. So if you ever need to say no, it's a no. I say no to people.
Yeah, if they're too crazy. I don't want to get hurt.
Yeah, and maybe I'm just saying no today, because, you know, today I don't feel that great, or I just don't want to deal with whatever you got to get, whatever you're bringing to the table here.
The way I tell people things is, I say, if I'm willing to roll with you and you're a big guy, that means you're a good training partner. Yeah. And like, my fiance is 205 pounds. Yeah. And I roll with him all the time. Sometimes he throws me across the room because he gets frustrated with me. Yeah. I'm like, babe, you can't do that. You know, don't be a bully. And so if I'm training with you, it's because I think you're safe and you're not going to hurt me. Yeah. Again, we try to bring down the risk of injury. And I remember one time, one of my other old MMA coaches wanted me to do an extra round where I knew I was like done that day. And you're already cooling down on the side.
And like, all the guys that I normally train with were done. And he's like, no, you're gonna do one more round. and then pointed at this guy that one wasn't even on our team. He was like in from out of town. And from what I saw, he was like a little spazzy. And I was like, no. And he's like, yes.
Oh, God.
And then, of course, I go in, I just take a knee right to the mouth, like while grappling. And then I got up and I was like, I'm done. And then I just.
Thank God it was just that.
Oh, I know. It could have been a lot worse. So then I just was like, ever since that day, I think I was a black belt at the time, but in my classes, I just made it where it was, you don't have to say yes to everyone. Because again, sometimes
important.
you just sense things too. Like I can look at you and be like, you know what, today's not the day. I don't think it's gonna work out.
So I've got a cool question for you.
Yeah.
What is a lesson that you've learned on the mats that has helped you off of the mats?
On the mats, I mean, the main thing is being okay at failing at stuff, right? Like before, it was, that looks a little scary, so let me just stay away from it. But what I've found made great athletes, and I try to make it where it makes great people as well, is being able to get through failure and use it to try to succeed. And again, in my basic classes, I tell them the same talk almost every day, and it's like, listen, you embrace the suck. It's gonna suck. Jiu-jitsu's hard. You're gonna get bumps and bruises and all these things. I was like, but the only difference between me and you is that I've had more chances to fail at it so far, and it made me who I am now.
Learning from it. What do people do when they fail? Do they quit? Or do they go home?
Yeah.
Be like, where do I get better?
Yeah.
Right.
So, and that's what it is. It's like you just got to give yourself those opportunities to fail, and that's how you're going to succeed.
You learn more from failing, right? You learn more from losing.
It's a hard concept to figure out in anything.
Yeah.
But just can't be scared of it. Even, I run Fury Grappling, and that started as a conversation at lunch with my two partners, and it was like, should we, think about doing these events? And we're like, and we held it off for a whole year.
But it kept coming back.
And then it came back, and then things happened, and COVID happened, and like all these different things, and then we were like, you know what, let's just take a chance. And then we took the chance. We did. We put this show together. We didn't have a broadcasting deal. We didn't have anything. We didn't have the mats for it. I took the mats up from my gym and just took them there, and we did it. And a week before the event, like we, started doing our posts and everything. Fight Pass hits us up, and they're like, "We want you on the platform." Actually, I won't say what other company, but the other big one, they wanted in first, and we were like, "No, like we just want to test it out and see how it goes." And we were like, "No, we'll hold off." And then we got a call from them, and they're like, "We want you guys on." And then we were like, all right, I guess we got to send it. I'm happy you chose
that one because I have that membership, so I can watch it.
Yeah, so we were like, it was just crazy how it all just happened, but it just because we decided to take a chance that we could have failed at it. We could have lost money doing it. We could have.
And that's the worst that would happen, right? You lose. I mean, losing money sucks, and you tried it.
Yeah.
It's like, check, I did it. I tried.
That's it. Yeah,
and you would have tried again. You would have kept trying until it worked.
Now we're 13 shows in.
That's wild. Yeah, those shows are so fun too.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. We gotta get you on.
I know.
When you're all ready.
When I'm done with all my stuff and my military.
Yeah.
So one more kind of interesting question. What do you think makes people the most coachable aside from like skill, kind of putting skill aside? When do you see somebody that's like, yes, you are coachable? What's the characteristics?
I mean, humble's the best one. So if you can just come in without that ego of wanting to win right away, that's my favorite kind of person. And it's who can put themselves in the most bad positions and be okay with it, and they're not panicking. Like they're just there like, all right, this was it. I tap and I reset and we go again. And again, that's like, it's my favorite thing.
Not a common characteristic for fighters.
No, yeah. So honestly, I love getting people who never trained a day in their life.
Who aren't fighters.
And then sometimes, so what I found in here, and one of my favorite things is like gives me a lot of fulfillment, is like we get a lot of people come in who don't, even though it's an MMA gym, like they don't expect to do fighting, right? They're coming to get in shape or do all these things, but I think they realize that they're not made of glass, and that's like the most empowering thing ever. Because a lot of times you just think, oh, you get this touched or moved and you break.
Yeah.
Right? And then when you realize that we're more resilient than that, it's like, it just gives you like a superpower, I feel like. And, you know, I just love seeing it. And I've had so many people who would just do our fitness classes. So, you know, they can't see the gym, but the gym's kind of separated into the big mat space and then like a fitness side of it. And a lot of people come in just for the fitness side, and I can see them looking over while these classes are going on. Like, man, what are these crazy people doing over there? And then they'll start inching their way over and asking questions and doing all that. And then all of a sudden they're in the class, and they're trying it. And then years later,
That's what I did, because I was boxing first, and then I was doing Muay Thai. But it wasn't too much contact. We were more doing like a cardio style.
Yeah.
I was like, why are these people in these pajamas over here? What are they doing? Because I had done karate as a kid.
Yeah.
But I was like, they have karate uniforms on.
Yeah.
That's not karate.
It's our first female black belts are Yara and Nancy, they're sisters. And so years ago, they were just fitness members. And before I owned the gym, and they did boxing and kickboxing only, fitness classes, and then they started doing jiu-jitsu, and then they became my first female black. Now we have a good amount of them, and they are truly like them and Chrissy and Tara, and then you like are a very big part of why our women's program is the way it is now, and it just makes it easier for those girls to come over because of that. Like before, it was like they look over and there's a bunch of these big, hairy, sweaty men, and you know, like there's like, I don't think I want to go train with them. But now, I mean, you'll come to a class and there's 12 girls in a class,
and and they're teaching.
And they're teaching.
We're teaching, and so it's incredible.
Yeah, and I mean, I love it. So, like, it's again, when I started training, I knew one girl that trained. That's it. And then now it's like you go to any gym in America and you know, there's so many girls there, and it's just awesome. And then even with Fury, like I try to, we always have women's, we had women's main events. Our first event ever had a women's main event. We're doing a tournament. It's our first like cash prize tournament that we're doing. It's a women's tournament.
Nice.
Like,
that's
like,
what, 120?
125.
25, yeah.
Nice. So it's like, and these girls are like good on this one, and it's you know, I'm just, obviously I'm not a woman, so you know, I can only do so much. Like you girls are, again, you guys show the girls that they can do it too, and just empower each other and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just happy to be any way that I can be a part of it. But you guys are really changing the sport, and it's I'm just, again, I talk like I'm really old, but I'm not.
I guess for fighting,
we
were a little.
Yeah, I've been in it for a long time, and I've just seen where it was and where it is today, and I just know it's going to continue to grow. And like we were talking about earlier, with wrestling is big, and now women's wrestling is big.
I know. I wish they had it when I was younger.
Oh yeah, and that was never a thing. So,
even a couple of years ago, I would wrestle with the local high school in Georgia, and the girls were competing with the men.
Yeah.
They were like, we just compete with the guys because there's not enough women.
Yeah, that's how.
And they could choose now. Yeah. But even this was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So and now they've separated, but.
Yeah, and now I mean it's just gonna keep growing the sport. And,
well, thank you, because I've always had tremendous male role models and men that have embraced me coming in versus the opposite, where women were like shunned, or you hear bad stories about women being sometimes on the mats, and I've never had that experience. So without you guys, like the men that are helping, the women's jiu-jitsu wouldn't be where it is either.
Yeah,
so
well, like I said, I'm happy we can do any kind of part, but again, you guys are just going to keep taking this thing off. I know it. Yeah.
Cool. So where can people find you? Where's your gym? If people want to come in and train?
Yeah, I mean, on like social media, it's just at Jonovan Webb. And then my gym's in Washington Township, New Jersey, about 15 minutes from Philadelphia. So, you know, anytime anyone's in town, come on in.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again. It was awesome having you.
Oh, no, great to be on. Thank you.